Hi, good morning everyone. Welcome back to the Medley show in the business. And you can see I'm at home due to the COVID-19 situation in Singapore. And we are having a circuit breaker, so we are unable to go to our studio to record this podcast. So today we will have this podcast using Skype. And you can ask Mr. TP Lim any questions and we will help you convey the questions to him. So without further ado, today join me and my three co-hosts, DL, Ming, Shan and Ling. Yep, so let's get started, guys.
Hi, Jiajun. Thank you for the introduction. I'm doing fine at home. This pandemic really tested everyone's patience to stay at home, but that won't stop us from conducting this video podcast.
Yes, not only he is an MC, he is now the company director of a media company that has branches in various countries.
To add on to Milling's point, Mr. Lim is now working in Infinitus Entertainment Limited. Back to the topic, on today's podcast, we'll be talking on three segments. For the first segment, we'll be talking on Mr. Lim's work in the media industry. For the second and third segment, we'll be talking more on the production details and also some COVID situation that affects his work. So stay tuned.
Hi everybody and welcome back to the Medley show in the business. Today we have a very special guest, Mr. TP Lim. He's from Infinitus Entertainment and he is here with us today. So let's welcome Mr. Lim. So Mr. Lim, how are you today?
I'm very well, thank you. How is everybody?
Yeah, we are doing well.
Yeah, I'm doing good.
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm good. Thank you. So for the first question, Mr. Lim, can you tell us why you choose to be in the media industry? Because based on what we know, you actually graduated from law. Then why would you choose to pursue in the media industry instead of law?
But to be fair, law is a very good basic degree in terms of potential to branch out into different areas. And my personal interest was always in the performing arts and in creativity.
Yeah.
And so when I graduated from England, I came back to Malaysia and I joined a singing competition on TV. And then after that singing competition, I got hired by the TV station to be a TV host. So that's how I started my career in entertainment, in media. And I was a TV host for about 15 years, I think, nearly. And then I was given an opportunity after that to work in film.
Okay, Mr. Ling, last question. You have been in the media industry for years. Can you briefly tell us the whole process of planning a new film?
As you know, there are different stages to making a film. So you start with what we call a development stage. This is when everybody comes up with the ideas for the film. And then I'll just give you an overview. So from development, and then you go into pre-production. That's when you plan for your production and your shooting. And then you go into the production period. And then after that, you go into post-production.
Okay.
And then after that, you go into the release of the movie. So in the development stage, that's when you sit around and you discuss, what kind of concepts or ideas you want to a film. And then once you've identified a concept, then you start your process of creating a synopsis or a treatment. And then from there, you move into scripting. So you develop scripts. And then, of course, the process of writing a script is often quite long and it takes a lot of deep thinking because you're trying to create a compelling story of a film.
Yep.
And then after that, once the script is finalized, then you're ready to move into pre-production where you actually think about how you're going to shoot the movie.
Okay.
Okay.
So
I see.
Mr. Lim, I got one question is that how many people usually will have to write a script?
There's no rule. It can be one person, but it can also be it could be a collaboration between 5, 6, 10. Sometimes we have committees working together to develop the script.
Okay. Planning a new film is quite a long process.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. So the journey that I described to you is more on the production or the journey of the technical aspects of getting a film made. But then there's an entire different journey which is to do with the financing of the film. So I don't know whether you guys want to talk about that.
I'm sure we can talk about that, the financing part. So
Yeah, so whilst you're developing your story, oftentimes you also need to start thinking about how you're going to find the funding to get your movie made. The idea behind getting your investors involved is that you have to have a very compelling project. So sometimes you can pitch your ideas even though you don't have a full script, but sometimes some investors insist on seeing the full script. So it just depends. And basically, besides knowing how to make a film, you also need to know how to market your film so that you can get funding.
So marketing is also one of the important
Very important
part.
Yeah.
So the next question is, how well is the media industry doing in these few years?
If you're talking about the film industry in Malaysia, it has been quite strong up until the coronavirus crisis. Malaysia's film industry has been generally healthy. We had a very very strong year in 2017. Yeah, it was a very strong year because many of the Malaysian-made films did very well at the box office. A lot of box office records were broken in that year. And
I remember one of the movie was Hantu Kat Lima,
Oh
right?
yeah, Hantu Kat Lima.
Yeah. So that's one of the movies that we produced. Prior to that, the highest box office achievement for a Malaysian film was 19 million, just around there.
That's a lot.
And then, but Hantu Kat Lima, we broke 20 million within the first 11 days of opening. And then we went on to hit, eventually was 38 something million. So for a Malaysian made film, it's a big number. And then in that same year, there were at least 3 other movies that broke the 30 million mark, which is why I said in that year the results were very strong. In 2019, we had 2 very very strong animation movies, Malaysian animation movies. So again, that was something to celebrate. 2020, this year, since the coronavirus started in February, actually things have been very slow.
So comparing like in Malaysia for Hantu Kat Lima, right? There's 20 million views.
Yeah. So eventually, our final box office was 38 million. Yeah. But I think it's important for everybody to understand that as the owner of the film, you roughly get back only 1/3 of the box office, because the other 2/3 goes to pay tax. It goes to pay the cinemas, for the cinemas to show your movie. Let's say, for example, your movie cost 3 million to make, right? And that means if your box office is 9 million, you only get back 3 million. The other 6 million goes to pay tax and the cinema and all that. General rule is about 1/3.
Okay.
So other than that, right? Can you describe a challenge in your career, like for example, something interesting during the production?
Well, one very common challenge for us is the weather.
Oh, weather. Yeah,
The
it's
weather.
unpredictable.
Yeah.
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 So So you always have to have a plan B. Sometimes you want sunshine, but then you will get a rainy day. So you might have to change or you will have to decide that, okay, instead of shooting an exterior scene on a rainy day, you have to change it and shoot an interior scene, for example. The trouble is, if you have a lot of outdoor scenes, then you really have no choice, and you just have to hope for the best.
Oh, but can I ask a question? Is that like like the one whole week after that is still raining, so all will be pushed back or replace it with another scene, like the whole screen?
Yeah, so it depends on whether you have many other scenes that you can shoot. Because let's say you've already shot all your interior scenes and you have 5 days of outdoor scenes, then you really have no choice but to wait. But every time you wait, you might have to pay some money to all your crew, and also there's always the trouble of the availability of your actors and your crew, because just because you want to delay the shoot for 1 week, but maybe the actors is already signed for another job somewhere else.
Yeah.
So there's many things that can go wrong that you have to juggle. Let's say, for example, you're supposed to shoot the outdoor scene in front of KLCC, and your booking is for this week. And then next week, I don't know, next week is Hari Raya and they are fully booked and you cannot use it. So, there's issues of location, issues of actors, issues of crew. So there are many different challenges. Basically, filmmaking, to me, you don't make a film, you problem solve a film. That means you expect to meet a lot of problems, and then once you solve all the problems, then your movie is made. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So yeah.
Okay.
Nothing goes to plan. 100% nothing goes to plan.
Just like this podcast today.
Yes.
Yeah.
The plan is to be ready for something that you didn't plan.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Ling, last question. Next question. Challenges at work is inevitable. So, based on your own knowledge, what are the requirements needed to be in this industry?
Well, I already mentioned one, which is ready to expect problems and to solve the problems as they come. Another very important skill, I think, is you have to learn how to work with different types of people. Because a film set usually, even a small team could be 5 people, but when we make a movie, typically we have about 150 to 200 people on set. Now, of course, you don't have to deal with all of them directly, so you deal with the heads of department. But even then, you have to have the ability to deal with different personalities. So having strong people skills is very important, because you have directors, you have your crew, and then you have artists, actors. They all have different personalities that you have to know how to handle.
Yeah.
So it's like dealing with different people, you use different communication skills, is it?
Yes, that's right. So some people you need to speak to them really softly and tell them nicely and explain everything. And then maybe some other people you need to be a little bit more strict, Yeah, and also filming is a very tiring process. So many times people are already in a bad mood because they're not getting enough sleep. They're not, they're frustrated, they're stressed. So people have very strong emotions. So you have to be able to manage your own emotion, but also you have to manage your team's emotions and make sure everybody can still work together. So
Okay.
Teamwork is
teamwork is key
for filmmaking. Yeah.
Okay, so Mr. Lim, like for us, right, do you have any advice when we graduate from university?
My advice is every time you have a holiday, go and be an intern. And intern in different types of jobs. Of course, if you know that you want to be an editor, or you want to be a director, or you want to be a script writer, then try to get internship or work experience from the relevant type of work, because studying is 100% different from working.
True.
Yeah. So studying basically just gives you some of the skills and some of the mental training.
Yes.
But working in a real job is the only way for you to fully understand what it means to work in that job. Say for a script writer or for a direct your own film straight away. But so you want to basically find work experience to follow somebody who is doing the job that you want to do.
Okay, but is YouTube being a YouTuber a starting point for us?
Not really, because unless you want to be a YouTuber, then I guess that's relevant experience. Because actually filmmaking is quite different from making something for YouTube. Yeah, because the process is quite different. And the way that your product is being consumed is very different. So what you see on the big screen in the cinema, if you showed a video from YouTube on the big screen on the cinema, it's a totally different experience. I guess if you're talking about experimentation and you just want to shoot something and then you want to put it up on YouTube to share, and you want to practice using your camera, or you want to practice your script writing, things like that. I think for experiments and for kind of becoming familiar with the technology, I think all that is fine, but it's still very different from working in the film production house.
Mr. Lim, as you mentioned just now that there are a lot of unpredictable situations while filming, how do you actually ensure that the production is on schedule? What steps would you take?
Basically, you need to have a very strong team, and all the heads of departments are aware that a lot of times as a producer, you need to work very closely with your director to make sure that he follows the schedule. When you go into production, you should have a very clear day-to-day schedule, and on each day, how many scenes you're supposed to shoot. And then, let's say, for example, you are supposed to shoot 10 scenes in one day, and let's say you start at 8 a.m., but then if by noontime, you're still trying to finish your scene number 1, then you know that you're going to be late, or you can't finish. So from the moment that happens, you need to start planning. Okay, or you need to start rushing the crew. In fact, so if you're late for first day and then the next day, day 2, you cannot finish day 2 because you're trying to catch up on day 1, and then eventually you will run out of time. You're over time, over your scheduled time. What it means is that you will also become over budget.
Yes.
Because you will need to spend extra days to shoot.
Mr. Ling, last question. We know you have made a lot of famous movies. How do you consider if a movie is successful?
How do you consider if a movie is successful? Is of course you look at the box office. So that's entirely based on a number. Another way that you look at the movie is you look at the quality of the movie. So you look at what we call production value. So you look at the quality of the script, the quality of the acting, the quality of the cinematography, the editing. So you look at all these elements to decide if it's a movie that's well made. Now, one thing I want to share with you is that there are two things. One is the box office and one is the production value. But these two things don't always match up. Sometimes the movie is very well made for production value, but the box office maybe only so-so.
Yeah, the income is not that good.
Yeah. The advice that I have been given by my own mentor is that our job as movie maker is we have to make sure that the production value is always good, always high.
Yeah.
Because the box office actually is very unpredictable. So you will be judged based on the value of your film, meaning the production value of your film. Because box office is honestly very big part of it is whether you have good luck or not.
Yes, it's all based on the viewers, right?
Yeah, and sometimes it's just the mood of the audience at that time. So if, for example, you know, during that period, let's say, and then by chance you make a movie about aeroplanes, and then you know, so then your box office will be high, and then sometimes, let's say, for instance, you made a movie about earthquake, right? And it's a very good movie, you know, very touching, very well done. And then, but then, let's say around that time when your movie is being released, somewhere there was a big earthquake, and so maybe during that time, then the audience don't want to watch any more earthquake movies. This will suffer, right?
Yeah.
So, and you cannot plan for these things, but the thing that you can control is your production value.
Yes. So talking about production value, do you watch the Korean show, the Parasite?
Really good.
Yeah, it's really good. Yeah.
Very high production value, and the story is very well written. The twists and turns in the movie is very unexpected. So it's I think it's one of the best movies I've seen for a long time. And the wonderful thing about that movie in terms of script writing is that it's not your typical storyline.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. So if you observe a lot of Hollywood movies, they have what we call like a standard flow to the story. But Parasite broke all the rules.
Aku jadi curiga. Aku akan jujur, kamu tahu banyak ngatur. Semalam aku tidur tapi bukan aku kabur. Semalam bobo di mana? Bobo sama siapa? Ngapain aja? Tadi.
So, Mr. Lim, let's get back to some questions. For the first question is like, what usually you do during your free time?
So, what do I know? Yeah, I consume a lot of content. I guess I watch a lot of YouTube videos. Yeah. Otherwise, I like to walk in the parks. No, but it's very interesting. A lot of my best ideas come up when I'm doing my long walks in the forest, or I'm walking along the beach. So a lot of times I find that I'm more creative when I'm relaxing. So if I'm standing there with my pen and like pushing very hard to think of new ideas, they don't usually come out. But when I'm just walking around, relaxing, then the ideas will flow.
Mr. Lee, what kind of movie would you like to watch during your free time, and which is your favorite movie?
I like all kinds of movies, but I especially enjoy watching comedy. I find that they're very entertaining, and to be honest, I also find that comedy movies are one of the most difficult to make.
Yes.
How is it difficult?
It's difficult because it involves a lot of human chemistry. So if you're making an action movie or you're making a science fiction movie, you have a lot of things that is helping you. So, for example, you have the CG effects, and you have etc. But comedy many times is just down to the chemistry between the actors.
So finding actors is also important.
Oh, finding good actors
Actors.
with chemistry.
Yeah.
Like you can have a good actor 1 and 2, but if they don't have chemistry together, then you don't get impact.
Then the next question is, why do you choose to give up being an MC to pursue a movie company director role?
I was given an opportunity to go into filmmaking, and to be honest, I never planned it, and I also have limited experience in filmmaking, but at the time when I joined, so I've had to learn being creative. So I think that's why I was prepared to give up my career as a TV host and MC to move into being a producer. As a producer, I get to be involved in different parts of the filmmaking process, and there are many ways to be creative. So that was the main draw for me.
So, Mr. Lim, we know that a lot of Malaysian actors are like going overseas to pursue their career, going overseas to like participate some shots in some particular movies. So, do you have any advice how to make them stay?
No, I don't want them to just going out to the world to explore and become better. I actually think that in today's world, there really isn't such a thing as movie that belongs to one country. I think the world is becoming more and more open, and you will notice now that many of the movies are made by collaboration between people from different countries. No, so if you went to study all the different people involved in Hollywood movies, and you look at the nationality, you'll probably find there are 20, 30 countries.
All over the world.
All over the world, yes.
All over the world. So, no, I don't want the Malaysian actors to stay. I think they should go. They should go and explore, and hopefully they become better from international exposure. I think that can only be good for Malaysia.
Okay.
But you won't want them to stay and help the local company?
No, I think actors should go overseas and become better. And then if they want to come back and make a movie with Malaysian filmmakers, that's great. I think the best way that they can help Malaysian film is to become very, very famous internationally. And then when they come back home and they shoot our movie, then they will help the movie become more well-known. You know, for example, if we have Michelle Yeoh, and now she's famous worldwide. So when we have a Malaysian film made with Michelle Yeoh, she helps to make the movie more, have more exposure. Just like you guys, if you have a chance to learn how to be a director or be a editor, or whatever work experience that you can get overseas, you should go.
Talking about the learning curve, right, of being being an MC and now you are a producer, what is the learning curve?
No, I had to learn a lot. Because I didn't study filmmaking or media like you guys. So my limited experience as a TV host was very limited, because primarily I was standing in front of the camera and talking all the time. I have a small feeling about how the production takes place, but even then it's in TV production, which is different from film. So the short answer is I had to learn everything from zero.
Okay, Mr. Lim, another question is just like take Hantu Kak Lima for example. Okay, so what is the most important thing like to attract people from different culture who speaks different language? Some of us don't understand Malay, but the movie is in Malay.
Actually, Hantu Kak Lima success is based on knowing the target audience really well. And the movie was made primarily for the Malay speaking audience. And the reason why it did so well in the cinemas was because many of the people who were watching the movie, they watched it 3 times, 5 times, 7 times. So to answer your question, I think whatever movie that you're making, you have to be very clear who is your target audience. So Hantu Kak Lima was very clear that it was made for the Malay-speaking audience. So we did have non-Malay audience who came to watch, but that is a small percentage. The reason for the big box office was because Malay-speaking audience were watching it multiple times. Now, if you're making a big Hollywood movie like The Avengers, then like a lot of big Hollywood blockbusters, they are making the movie for the world. It doesn't matter you're Spanish or French or Chinese or Indian, you will still watch.
Yes.
Yes.
Talking about the Hantu Kak Lima, it is also on Netflix, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So can I understand is just like how Netflix accept the video movie to be posted on their streaming services? Because
So we Netflix has the strategy, obviously, to gain subscribers from Malaysia, and so they have been buying Malaysian films to put onto their platform as a way to attract Malaysians to sign up. And you will find the same for a lot of other OTT platforms, where if they're trying to build a new market like Malaysia or Indonesia or Vietnam, they will purchase some of the top films from that particular market. So people feel, when I sign up with Netflix, not only can I watch American and English movies, I can also watch local Malay movies, or I can watch Korean drama. Then it gives them more variety to choose, and therefore it's a way to attract subscribers. We are very happy that it's on Netflix because now we will gain an international audience. And that's always good for our movie. Going back to your original question, how do you attract an audience? Our primary audience for the cinema was the Malay-speaking audience. Netflix is just one of many different platforms where the film, you take the flight, you can see some of our movies there. Different country, the movie may be airing there on their terrestrial TV. So many different platforms that a movie can go on to.
Okay, before we move on to some questions from our schoolmates, we will have a short break first, then we will continue.
Welcome back, Mr. Lim. During the break, we have received a few questions from our schoolmates, our viewers. So the first question will be, can you name a few artists that you collaborated with?
Malaysian artists?
Internationally also
fine.
can.
Any artist.
Any artist. Okay. Malaysian artist Zul Arifin, he's been in a few of our films. Mira Filza, also internationally we have worked with stunt choreographers from Hong Kong, and also a stuntman who came from the UK.
From that, we have one question from our audience. Is like he's a student from PSB, and then he's in diploma in digital marketing, and he would like to join the media industry. So which position you recommend him?
If he is very good in digital marketing, then he can be involved in the sales and marketing of he can maybe apply for the marketing job, either within a film company, a big film company that does their own distribution of film, or a film distributor company, or maybe even work for the cinema.
What do you mean about the cinema?
So in Malaysia, we have TGV and GSC. In Singapore, I think you have MM2 and Cathay. So basically, work for cinema companies.
Oh.
That means cinema companies, because they need people to help market their films. So I'm just thinking that for somebody who has a strong marketing background, they can work companies, but performing the marketing role. Unless he wants to go into other parts of filmmaking, I don't know. But nowadays, digital marketing is becoming probably the most important kind of marketing for film. Because if you think about it, most of you will get your film information from online and from phone. Because none of you sit in front of the TV and watch TV anymore.
Yeah, true.
So in order to market to the majority of the people now, digital marketing is the main way to go. And so, he can do a lot of that for film distribution and film marketing.
Okay, so I think we have another 2 more questions from our audience.
Yeah. The next one is, he want to know, will you filming some professional senses? Will you ask for special forces personnel to assist and guide the actors?
I mean, special forces from the police?
What he means is just like, for example, there is a police show, and then do you need the police to come and teach the actors how to do an act?
Yes. In our movies have involved the police. We have invited the police to join. In fact, we also invite the real police to be inside the movie. But definitely, yes, we get training on how to hold the gun, and they go gun shooting exercise. And we made a movie called J Revolusi that is about the special forces. Our actors received special training from the special forces.
Yeah, last question, Mr. Ling. We know that there are many challenges in making a film, from actors, script, photograph, and the location. So, is producing 3 to 4 movies per year challenging for you?
Yes, it means we are very busy. We actually have 3 or 4 films to make in 1 year. It means everything is back to back. And there's a lot of overlap, because let's say if I finish my first film for the year in January, then that film will go into post-production, right? And then when that movie is going through post-production, then I have to do my pre-production for my second movie.
Yeah.
Right? And then if I do my second movie, then that goes into post-production. Then I need to pre-production of my third movie. And then, so everything is on top of each other. Yeah. So luckily I have a strong team, so they manage all the work.
So to add on, it's just like, do you mind telling us which 3 movies that you do back to back?
Last year we shot 2 movies, and so we also make a TV series. We shot a TV series for iFlix called Ombak Renju. iFlix is like Netflix, is an online platform.
So this is the end of the questions from our audience.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kelly, we all know that COVID-19 is very serious right now. So how does COVID-19 affect your workflow?
Very, very badly, actually. Because we were supposed to release 2 of our... We are still hoping that we can release them. Because it's now May. Our release date was supposed to be September and November. So we are still not sure whether that's going to happen. So in terms of our income from the movies, I think we are obviously quite badly affected. Definitely we will not be enjoying the big box office success from the previous 2 years. People have lost their jobs. So we expect many of them will not be in the good mood to spend a lot of money going out, shopping, watching movies. So entertainment industry is very adversely affected. And also the cinemas may not be able to give enough halls, right? Because there's only limited number of cinema spaces. But let's say basically you have 6 months to show 12 months worth of films. So it's going to be a very challenging time for everybody.
Mr. Lim, can I ask a question? It's just like when your movies are put onto the cinema, right? How long will the cinema play your movie? Or is it up to the production crew to decide or the cinema to decide?
It's the cinema that decides. If it's a Malaysian-made film, then there's a process that we can go through where we can request to have the movie play for minimum of 1 week.
1 week, okay.
But the general rule is if your movie is not doing well, then the cinemas will take it off.
It is a challenge for the whole movie industry. Do you have some ideas or suggestions for everyone in media industry to overcome this challenge?
To be honest, no. I guess we can only hope that the medicine will come out quickly or the vaccine will come out quickly.
So about apart from that, in the future, right? The movies, will you have some movies about the virus?
Planning to make the movies about the virus. Maybe. Who knows? I wouldn't say no. To be honest, I don't have an idea now. You can suggest the idea.
Maybe. Yes.
Yeah, so, I think it's meaningful to record this tough time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right now, just generally speaking, our company is always looking for new story ideas for new movies. So if any of you or your teammates or your friends are studying film and they have movie ideas, then you can send them over. And who knows? If we like it, then we might adopt it, and then you can actually be part of a film.
Do you have an email address that you can send to?
Yes,
somebody in your team email to me. Must be Shani lah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's me. Okay. So before ending everything off, Mr. Lim, is it okay for you to share a piece of advice to everyone of us? Like, maybe you would like to end off with a quote or something?
Yes. Expect problems so that when they come, you're not surprised. Then you will enjoy making films.
Okay, so we will end off the podcast here. So So thank you, Mr. Lim, and we wish you all the best for your career.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
So after the podcast with Mr. Lim, I've learned a lot. Like, I'll just say a few. I learned that the box office and the production value don't actually go equal all the time, but the production value is very important.
Yeah, true.
And also he said that communication skills. Yes, dealing with different personality, you have to use different communication skills. How about Mei Ling? What have you learned?
I know the media industry is an interesting job, but it's some challenging career. So many movies things are close to life, like COVID-19. So movies come from really life.
Yes.
Based on reality.
Reality, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Liao,
Yeah.
what do you learn?
Yeah, what I have learned is the requirements we need to be in this industry. The most important one is we need to get ready for the problem and expect for the problem. So when they come, we will not be worried or so panic.
For me personally, I learned that for everything, if you want to go into the media industry, right, starts from a small position, and then you slowly progress, and gradually you will get to where you want and where we want. For example, just now, if a digital marketing kind of student, they want to progress in the media industry, you start from a very small, like just in the office first, then you slowly see how it goes.
It's like learn when you're working.
We can end off this podcast with see you
Yeah.
and bye
See
bye.
you next time. Hope to see you very soon.
Bye.